Hey friends, welcome back to Shawnee on the Spot. Well, here we are with another video, y'all, and this time it's the I Love Buffalo Check Open Invitation Collaboration. It's hosted by Miss Lady Cinnamon and co-hosted by myself, Shawnee on the Spot, and Miss Debbie Bubbles. Now, in this collaboration, we asked everyone to use Buffalo Check in any type of a design that you choose. Now guys, I decided that I wanted to paint my own buffalo check pattern. I wanted to give it a go. I learned it last year while we were seriously on lockdown. I learned a whole lot of different craft techniques, and buffalo check painting was one of them. Now I'm starting with a simple Dollar Tree canvas and some paints that I already had around. Now I want to do the light buffalo check, the tan and beige kind of pattern. As you see, my little ribbon that I have there, the spool of ribbon is my inspiration. And so I took some paints that I already had and I mixed them together until I got the colors that I wanted. So I'm showing you color number 1, color number 2, and color number 3. I'm using a variation of beige and just going from there. As you can see the colors, and I'm going to be using the ivory chalk paint to prep my canvas. Now, as you can see, I'm just prepping my canvas here by painting it with the ivory chalk paint. Now, depending on what colors you're going to be using for your buffalo check pattern, this is going to be the color that shows through as well. So I'm choosing to use the lightest of lightest, which is the ivory color, to prep my canvas with. Now, to make sure that my lines are perfectly straight, I'm going to be using the painter's tape. First, I'm finding the center of my canvas. Now this canvas is 11.5 by 14, and the side that I'm measuring is the 11.5 side. So that means 5.5 is the center. And all I did was put a little dot so that I'm able to find the center with my first piece of tape. Now this first piece of tape that you're putting down is what I call the spacer piece. Okay, this piece will not stay there. It is going to just be there to make the other lines more straight, and you will see what I mean by that. So here you see me laying down my first taped piece next to my spacer piece. Now it's important to get your lines straight. I had to fiddle with it a little bit, but ultimately I did get my lines straight, because this is going to matter in the end, and you will definitely see what I mean as we get further into the project. Alright, so I got that first piece down, and now I'm going to the other side of my spacer piece of tape and doing the exact same thing, trying my best to line my tape up perfectly straight and as close to the spacer piece as possible without overlapping, because I'm going to pull that spacer piece up, and you will see that in just a moment. Now what that does, it creates a perfect straight line. I take that same piece of tape and I keep going with it, using it as my spacer piece. I'm putting it down again. I'm not putting it down too hard, just a little light tap. And then I take another piece of tape, which is going to be my tape piece, and putting it close to the spacer piece and making sure that my lines are once again straight. And as you can see, I repeated that process using that spacer piece and then putting down my taped piece to create these perfectly straight lines. Now in between, I'm measuring it, and it's about 1.5 inches in between each taped piece. Now the next step, I'm going to take some of my paint, and it's actually going to be color number 1. And I'm going to just go ahead and begin to paint all the way in between the taped lines and make sure that my color is down. Now I use this particular method of pouncing the paint on as opposed to painting it with the paintbrush, but as I went on to the project, I decided painting was just fine. I was concerned with bleeding through under my tape lines, and that's why you see me scraping the tape and kind of smoothing it out with my tool there, because you do want to be very conscious of the possibility of paint going up under your tape. And so to prevent that, you do want to kind of make sure those edges are down pretty good and try not to do your brush strokes that will cause the paint to bleed. All right, so I completed painting all of that with my color number 1. I did allow it to dry all the way. Okay, now you can pull your tape up and then make sure that you still allow your paint to dry. I kind of pulled my tape up when it wasn't all the way dry, which is perfectly fine, but I did let my canvas sit there until it was dry, and you'll see why in just a moment. All right, so you can see the lines are perfectly straight. Okay, so now I'm turning it over to the other direction and measuring again to find the center. And this time, because that side is the 14-inch side, I'm finding the 7-inch place and marking just a little dot so that again I can use my tape and find the center and create that the guide piece there. Okay. And I'm basically going to repeat the same technique that you see me do on step number 1. Again, making sure that your lines are straight. And using the spacer piece is a pretty good method. Now, I've seen others mark it on their canvas with using their ruler, but to me that just seemed a little bit tedious. So having a spacer piece of tape for me seemed to work well, and you can experiment with both ways and find out what way works for you. But this seemed to work. I was guaranteed to get my lines pretty straight by doing it this way. All right, so I'm still working on it, and that's one thing I wanted to mention. The reason why I said make sure your canvas is dry is, as you saw, I was pulling up the tape and none of my paint pulled up, right? All right, so all the tape is down, the lines are straight, and now I'm gonna go in with color number 2. This is a slight variation from color number 1, not too much darker, but just a variation of it in just a slight darker shade. And I'm taking that and I'm going down the canvas with that color. Now don't be alarmed, because it's going to feel and look like you're painting over what you've already done, but trust me, this process must happen. So go with it. I know it's going to feel kind of weird, but go with it and be sure that you paint all the way down, and you're going to kind of see some of it coming through, which is great. It lets you know that you're on the right track. Okay. Now, once you're done painting this, you are again going to want to let it dry. Okay, so go find something else to do for a little while and let this sit and let it dry. Okay, so I did just that, and I'm coming back, and now I'm going in the opposite direction with some more tape. Now this time I'm not needing to use a guide piece or my guide tape, because I can actually see the lines. Okay, I'm gonna say if you're gonna do this project, when you're putting down this particular set of tape, you can actually see where it goes. It's gonna be on the light spot. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but if you're gonna do this project, you know exactly what I mean when I say you put this next set of tape on the light spots. Again, you don't want to pull up the tape from when it dried. You're going to leave that tape down just like it is and go on top in the opposite direction, following the lines that you'll be able to see as you're looking at your project. And I'm showing you here how I'm able to achieve that. And guys, hang in there just a couple of more minutes. You are gonna wanna see the reveal. You're gonna be wowed when you see how easy this is, and you're gonna always wanna do it. You're gonna see buffalo check in the stores and you're gonna be like, I think I can make that. It's just that easy. It just takes a little bit of patience, some paint and some tape, okay y'all? And a little bit of technique. All right, so I have my tape down. So now I'm getting ready to go in with color number 3. And this is the final color and the final painting step. Now you could slather the paint all over the whole board, but I'm kind of conservative and don't want to waste my paint. So I'm just painting in the squares because that's where it only matters anyway. But I'm making sure that I'm kind of going a little bit outside of the square because again, I don't want my paint to seep under the tape. So I'm still being very conscious of that fact. And you'll see why at the very end, okay? But again, I'm just going in the squares with my paint fully. And I'm getting concerned with the seeping, so I'm pushing down my tape a little bit more before I continue. And I let it dry for just a few minutes. It wasn't all the way dry before I started to pull the tape up. Now here is the satisfying part. If you have made it this far and you're into your project, this is the part that is the most satisfying. It is the reveal, y'all. Watch this. I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet and just let you be surprised when I start pulling up the remainder of this tape. Through. Is this not buffalo check or is it not buffalo check? Okay, come on somebody, come on somebody. I'm doing a little happy dance. I know you can't see me, but I am wowed by what is happening here right before my eyes. I am so pleased with this. I'm just a sniggling and giggling as I'm pulling this tape back, y'all. This is so satisfying. I'm so proud of this. I hadn't done it since last summer. And so I'm overjoyed to be able to show you all how to make your very own buffalo check pattern. You see how easy that was? You see how simple that was? Oh my goodness. And trust me, you can definitely do this. This is a total DIY project that you can definitely do. Look at that, y'all. All right, I am so super pleased about how this turned out. I think it looks good. Now, right now, it's kind of blank, but I'm not going to leave it that way. So you'll have to check back in another video to see what I actually do with this canvas. Until then, guys, take care. Remember to be kind to yourself. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much, Lady Cinnamon, for hosting and Debbie Bubbles for co-hosting. Be sure to click the playlist link for more buffalo check designs.